Isn't it wild how the world keeps advancing decade after decade? At this rate, we might even end up annoying Martians on their own turf soon. But can you imagine that all these advancements might never have happened? Throughout history, there have been events that almost wiped out humanity. I have dug up some fascinating and terrifying events, and I can't wait to share them with you. So let's dive right in. Number 5. Indonesia's Toba volcano. We all know how volcanoes can wipe out entire villages, but imagine one that had the potential to clear out all of humanity, devouring everything in its path. About 75,000 years ago, the Toba volcano threw a tantrum of epic proportions. Scientists confirm it was the most massive volcanic eruption the Earth had seen in about 2 million years. The volcano spewed out ash that covered as much as 3,000 kilometers, basically the distance you'd cover driving halfway across the United States. If that happened today, not even Donald Trump's estate at Palm Beach would be safe. But the real danger wasn't just the ash. The volcano filled the atmosphere with particles that blocked sunlight, wreaking havoc on plant life. The aftermath was grim. No rain, no crops, and a massive food shortage that nearly wiped out the human population. Some say the ash cloud was so thick it plunged the world into a 10-year volcanic winter. It was a cold world literally and figuratively. Scientists believe that the eruption wiped out other human species, leaving just us behind. Maybe that was for the best, otherwise we might have just fought each other to extinction anyway. The human population was reduced to as few as 10,000 individuals. Some estimates even suggest fewer than 1,000. These survivors were so lucky that winning the lottery today would seem like a breeze in comparison. This massive reduction in human life led to what's called a genetic bottleneck, meaning there were fewer genetic variations left, no more fancy genes, just the basics. Fewer types of genes made us more vulnerable to diseases and harsh environmental conditions. Yet, despite all odds, these 1,000 or so humans managed to survive and repopulate the Earth. So here we are, thanks to the most exclusive survival club in history. Number 4. The Hadron Collider. When scientists get too excited, they sometimes create things that make the rest of us a little nervous. And while we benefit from many of these inventions, there's a growing fear that one day they might just wipe us out. Take the Large Hadron Collider, for example. The Large Hadron Collider is the world's largest and most expensive scientific experiment. Basically, a group of very smart people wanted to understand the Big Bang, so they built something that could potentially recreate the Big Bang on a smaller scale. Enter the Hadron Collider, which looks like a supersized roller coaster, except this roller coaster could be as devastating as Thanos' finger snap if things went wrong. This roller coaster is 17 miles long and runs underground. It uses 9,000 magnets to whiz particles around at nearly the speed of light. Built between 1998 and 2008, many feared this would be the last scientific experiment on Earth, as it might create a black hole big enough to swallow the planet. The fear was real. Some people even took the matter to court to prevent the collider from being switched on. Then, the absolute physics genius Stephen Hawking stepped in to calm everyone down. He assured us that the collider wasn't capable of creating a black hole. The machine first went into operation in 2008, but due to some technical issues, there was a delay. It finally ran between 2010 and 2013, then shut down again for an upgrade. It ran again until the end of 2018, when it was shut down for another upgrade. It seems like the guy at the power station was having a blast with those switches. As we watch the universe unfold, let's hope the collider's next surprise is just another chapter in the cosmic story, not the final page. Number 3. The Plague, Black Death. Global pandemics have the potential to wipe out entire populations, especially when basic hygiene, like washing your hands, wasn't exactly a priority. The plague, also known as the bubonic plague, occurred between 1346 and 1353. It was one of the deadliest pandemics in human history. The plague entered the scene like an unwelcome party crasher carried by black rats. These rats had fleas, which were the true culprits behind the disease. Infected individuals developed boils on their skin, reported to be as large as apples, but definitely not as tasty. Of course, you wouldn't want to bite into one of those. Apart from being really gross, the disease was also highly contagious. You could get infected by merely coming in contact with body fluids from infected people. Apart from the painful apples all over the skin, infected persons were exposed to more severe health issues that sent them to their graves within days. A disease that saw an estimated 2 million people meet their ends within a short period definitely had the potential of wipe out all of humanity. It took out half of China's population, demolished 60% of Europe, and snagged a good chunk of Africa. Humanity's saving grace was that travel wasn't as common back in the day. The primary route of long travel was by sea. Except you were the king, a member of some royal family, or someone really important, you definitely had no business traveling. The plague was more like COVID-19. But unlike us, human hygiene and was basically a don't ask, don't tell situation. So they kept spreading the disease. Many people thought the plague was a divine smackdown for humanity's sins. So the group of guys hit the road as the ultimate self-punishment squad. They went from city to city, not to sightsee, but to whip themselves mercilessly. They figured if they could punish themselves enough, maybe the plague would be taken away. Talk about taking one for the team. Number 2, asteroids. Imagine the sky suddenly going dark at midday and you wonder why night is coming early. Only this time, it's not night, it's the end. Asteroids are giant rocks that orbit the sun. Sometimes they get bored of the sun's music and decide to go on a little adventure. The problem is, these rocks are so huge they could wipe out an entire planet, or at least a significant part of it. In 2014, there was a scare when one of these giant rocks headed our way. It was over a kilometer wide, but luckily it missed us, and we all breathed a sigh of relief. As if the universe was testing our luck, another asteroid came our way about a year later. This one was 15 times larger. It's like someone thought, if I use a bigger rock, I definitely won't miss this time. Thankfully, the universe was on our side again, and the asteroid missed us narrowly. NASA considered blowing up the asteroid or trying to change its course, but in the end, Earth's luck held out. Number 1, nuclear warheads. As I mentioned earlier, if the universe doesn't take us out, our own inventions might just do the trick. Nuclear warheads are definitely contenders for such a disaster. Nuclear warheads were first tested during World War II, when the US dropped 2 devastating bombs on Hiroshima, Japan. That was our first glimpse of how destructive these weapons can be. The radiation from these bombs makes the air so toxic that even breathing becomes a death-defying act, and holding your breath isn't going to cut it. In 1995, we came alarmingly close to a nuclear war that could have ended life on Earth. A group of Norwegian and American scientists launched a 4-stage rocket for a scientific experiment, but to the Russians, it looked like an incoming missile aimed straight at Moscow. The Russian military went on high alert and the world teetered on the brink of disaster as the situation escalated. The Russian president had the nuclear launch keys in hand, ready to retaliate with everything they had. For 10 agonizing minutes, the world held its breath, waiting for what could have been the start of World War III. Thankfully, the Russians held off just long enough to realize the rocket was harmless, and instead of a dramatic explosion, we got a splashy ending as the rocket harmlessly plunged into the sea. So there you have it, folks. If you enjoyed this video, YouTube thinks you'll love the next one, so go ahead and click on it.